I've kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I intended. But the first six are very much mine and my philosophy.
There's a Star Wars live action series coming, and I've got a strong suspicion that George will have something to do with that.
Maybe building I working from George, so he has all the keys anyway. I can't. He can come right in. I'll tell you, whatever he would come up with would be different. He was always the most surprising in what he would do and how he would.
Buzz is swirling that George Lucas might be making a return to the Star Wars universe, and if the rumors are true, he's already making waves. Speculation suggests that one of his first major moves could involve parting ways with the Acolyte director, a decision that has ignited excitement and curiosity among fans and industry insiders alike. For years, longtime followers of the saga have voiced concerns that Star Wars has strayed from the storytelling they once cherished. Under Disney's stewardship, the franchise has sparked heated debates over its creative direction, with many feeling it has lost some of its original magic. If Lucas is indeed stepping back in, could this mark a return to the roots that made the saga legendary? There are whispers about what might have led to such a bold decision regarding the Acolyte. Did the show's direction clash with Lucas's vision? And more importantly, what could this potential shakeup mean for the future of the beloved galaxy far, far away?
I'm doing this so that the films will have a longer life, so that more fans and people can enjoy them into the future. It's a very big universe I've created, and there's a lot of stories that are sitting in there.
The main thing is to protect these characters. Make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them. There you go.
Some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people. You run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? It's happened through history forever.
In a stunning move that has shaken Hollywood and electrified Star Wars fans worldwide, George Lucas is officially returning as head of Lucasfilm, replacing longtime President Kathleen Kennedy. This dramatic leadership shift signals Disney's intent to restore the franchise to its former glory after years of controversial decisions and waning fan support. Kathleen Kennedy's tenure at Lucasfilm has been marked by both highs and lows. While she oversaw commercially successful projects such as The Force Awakens and The Mandalorian, growing criticism of the sequel trilogy and recent Disney Plus shows, particularly The Acolyte, painted a picture of a franchise losing its identity. Many fans accused the studio of prioritizing political messaging over compelling storytelling, and with declining box office returns and streaming numbers, it became evident that a change was necessary. Under increasing pressure from investors and shareholders, Disney turned to Lucas as the best option to course correct. His deep understanding of the Star Wars universe and his reputation as a visionary make him the ideal figure to steer the beloved saga back to its roots. Now, with Lucas at the helm once again, fans are left wondering, what's next for a galaxy far, far away? Storyteller made him the natural choice to restore credibility to the brand. Sources suggest that internal conflicts over creative direction and declining merchandise sales played a significant role in Kennedy's departure. The reaction to Lucas's comeback has been overwhelmingly positive among the Star Wars community. Longtime fans who have been vocal about their dissatisfaction with the franchise's direction see his return as a beacon of hope. Social media erupted with excitement, with many expressing optimism that the saga will finally return to its roots. Industry experts have weighed in as well, noting that Lucas's involvement could bring much-needed stability and innovation to Star Wars. However, some critics argue that his old-school approach may not align with modern Hollywood's expectations, raising questions about whether he can balance fan desires with the evolving landscape of the film industry. Lucas's return is expected to bring major changes to Lucasfilm's current projects and future plans. Reports suggest that he'll take a hands-on approach, overseeing creative decisions and ensuring that the franchise stays true to his original vision. Some of the potential changes include a return to classic Star Wars storytelling, with a greater emphasis on adventure, mythology, and character-driven narratives. There may also be a re-evaluation of current and upcoming projects, including rumored reshoots and possible cancellations of divisive content. Additionally, Speculation is growing about a new trilogy that could take the franchise in a bold yet familiar direction under Lucas's direct guidance. As Lucas takes the reins, the big question remains: can he revive Star Wars and restore faith among longtime fans? The coming months will be crucial in determining whether his return will be the spark the franchise desperately needs, or if the damage done under previous leadership is too great to overcome.
What happens now, and it happens in streaming probably more than features, but features the same thing. Nobody knows what to do. The stories they're telling are just old movies. Let's do a sequel. Let's do another version of this movie. There's no, and it's not just in movies, but in almost everything. There's no original thinking. These big studios, I mean, they don't want that. They want something that is like something they've seen, because they don't have an imagination to come up with, to see something that isn't there. I mean, I got Star Wars done mainly because at the same time I was writing the script, I hired an artist to draw pictures of what I was doing, because I knew I couldn't describe what it was. It was impossible. But when you see the pictures, you say, oh, I get it. And that was really what made the movie, what sold it.
I was interested in doing a film that could affect kids. And I'd studied mythology and everything, and I decided I'm going to make a modern myth. I disliked the business of Hollywood intensely. When I had that choice of Star Wars being a success, I said, I'm going to try to make a go for it. And so I invested in the next movie and borrowed money from a bank and everything. I had everything at stake. I did it primarily because I didn't want the studios to tell me what to do. I didn't want them coming and commenting on my work and putting their little ideas in there. And because I needed to make sure I controlled the vision and not have it be diluted by a lot of other people.
The last that we had heard about Kathleen Kennedy being removed as the president of Lucasfilm was that she's going to be having some contract negotiations, and she wasn't going to be seeking to actually renew or get an extension on that contract, which in itself should be a joyous occasion for everyone. But now, according to the scooper WDW Pro, we have some more information of a potential timeline that her announcement of her retirement and stepping down could come as soon as this October.
George Lucas's first major moves upon returning as head of Lucasfilm was firing Leslie Headland, the director and showrunner of The Acolyte. This decision was seen as a necessary step to prevent further damage to the Star Wars brand, which many fans believe had been derailed under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. Kennedy's tenure was marked by a series of controversial decisions that often prioritized politics and social messaging over storytelling, sidelining the core elements that made Star Wars a cultural phenomenon. Many longtime fans felt that the franchise had lost its heart, straying too far from Lucas's original vision. By removing the Acolyte's director, Lucas appears to be taking swift action to realign Star Wars with the adventure, mythology, and character-driven storytelling that first captivated audiences. His return signals a major shift in direction, leaving fans eager to see what comes next for the beloved galaxy far, far away. The adventurous and mythic qualities that Lucas infused into the original films were gradually overshadowed under Kennedy's leadership. While her approach to Star Wars emphasized diversity and representation, critics argue that it often came at the expense of well-developed storytelling and character arcs. Many fans and industry insiders believe the franchise lost its magic, leading to declining box office returns, underwhelming streaming numbers, and widespread audience discontent. For years, George Lucas remained largely silent, but behind the scenes, it became clear that he was unhappy with the franchise's direction. The Acolyte, originally promoted as a groundbreaking series with a female-led cast, quickly became a lightning rod for criticism. Leslie Headland openly expressed her desire to break away from Lucas's original vision, claiming that Star Wars needed to evolve beyond his influence to stay relevant. She stated in multiple interviews that her goal was to undo certain aspects of Star Wars lore, particularly challenging long-established elements of the Jedi and the Force. Fans reacted strongly, feeling that the show was rewriting history rather than expanding upon it in a meaningful way. Headland's dismissive response to concerns from longtime fans, labeling criticism as toxic male resistance, only deepened the divide between Lucasfilm and its audience. This growing disconnect reinforced the belief that drastic changes were needed to realign Star Wars with its roots, making Lucas's return all the more significant.
Kennedy has done a decent job with Star Wars. You agree?
No, I don't agree.
The ultimate job of being the CEO
Yes.
is to build the brand,
Yes.
build excitement, recruit talent, and to keep them.
Yes.
What has she done a terrible job of?
The backlash to Star Wars Acolyte Episode 3 has been intense, and now the Rotten Tomatoes user score is lower than even the much maligned Star Wars The Holiday Special. That and the fact that the ratings for this debut were 3 million short of Ahsoka, you would think that Lucasfilm might take this as a warning sign that things need to change.
Disney has this really bad habit of just not letting things go.
He's kind of been involved, though, with like anything to do with Dave Filoni. Dave always brings him in as a...
Yeah. There are three indispensable people without whom none of us would be here tonight, and that starts with the person who created Indiana Jones, George Lucas. The person who is Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. And the person whose is the glue to all five of these films that gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
Watch this, Lise. You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half. And now.
Backlash against the Acolyte was swift and severe. Early promotional material was met with skepticism, and leaks suggesting significant changes to Jedi history sparked outrage among fans. Social media exploded with criticism, with many accusing Lucasfilm of disregarding the core mythology in favor of pushing a political agenda. Audience anticipation plummeted, and analysts predicted that the series would struggle to attract viewers once it premiered. Disney executives, facing mounting pressure from investors and stakeholders, saw the writing on the wall. The franchise was losing its grip on audiences, and drastic action was needed to prevent further financial and reputational damage. Upon his return, George Lucas wasted no time addressing these concerns. Reports suggest that he was deeply disappointed with the Acolyte's direction and viewed it as a prime example of why Star Wars had lost its way. Insiders claimed that he saw the show as emblematic of the franchise's larger struggles, prioritizing subversion over storytelling and distancing itself from the timeless themes that made Star Wars a beloved cultural phenomenon. Lucas was reportedly frustrated with the show's departure from the mythological elements he had carefully crafted over decades. He believed that the heart of Star Wars lay in universal themes of hope, redemption, and adventure, values that the Acolyte seemed to overlook in favor of subversive storytelling. His decision to fire Headland was not just about one show. It was a clear statement that Star Wars needed to return to its roots and reclaim the elements that made it a global phenomenon. The firing of Headland has sparked renewed hope among fans who felt alienated by the franchise's direction in recent years. Many believe that with Lucas back in control, there is a real chance to recapture the magic that made Star Wars special in the first place. There are already rumors that Lucas is working on revising existing projects to align them more closely with his original vision. Some reports even suggest that major reshoots are planned for The Acolyte, with the possibility of reworking or even canceling aspects of the series that conflict with the foundational principles of Star Wars. Bring Star Wars more in line with its traditional themes and storytelling style. Although Lucas has not publicly commented on the firing, those close to him suggest that he is fully committed to undoing the damage done to the franchise over the past decade. His focus now is on telling stories that honor the legacy of Star Wars while introducing fresh ideas that stay true to its core values. Whether or not he can fully repair the brand remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. George Lucas is determined to reclaim his galaxy and ensure that Star Wars once again becomes a force to be reckoned with in the entertainment industry. The Acolyte has faced significant backlash from fans, with many accusing the series of straying too far from established Star Wars lore. The introduction of a new group of Force users and the concept of the Force as the thread has sparked criticism, as it challenges the core mythology originally established by Lucas. Fans argue that these changes diminish the significance of Anakin Skywalker's unique origins, undermining his role as the Chosen One and the prophecy that defined the prequel trilogy. The show's poor audience reception is evident in its abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score, which stands in stark contrast to the critic reviews. While some viewers have found aspects of the series intriguing, many believe it fundamentally breaks canon and disregards the philosophical depth Lucas infused into the original saga. Social media platforms have been flooded with heated debates, with fans expressing frustration over what they perceive as an agenda-driven approach that sacrifices authenticity for modern messaging. Critics of The Acolyte argue that the show's portrayal of the Jedi as morally questionable figures contradicts the core themes of the franchise. The depiction of an all-female coven of witches experimenting with the Force to create life has been particularly divisive, with many believing it erodes the mystery and grandeur of the Force that Lucas carefully crafted. Some fans feel the series is more focused on subverting expectations rather than telling a compelling story that respects the essence of Star Wars. Aligning with the Star Wars universe, key moments in The Acolyte, such as the immaculate conception of twin protagonists by the witches, have drawn comparisons to Anakin Skywalker's origin. This has led to accusations that the series is recycling and diluting core elements of the saga. These concerns have only fueled the perception that Disney's approach to Star Wars continues to prioritize spectacle over substance, leaving many fans feeling alienated. Despite these criticisms, some viewers remain hopeful that the series will improve as it progresses, though many longtime fans remain skeptical about its place in the larger Star Wars canon. With George Lucas back at the helm, the focus is now on restoring the franchise to its original vision. Lucas has always envisioned Star Wars as a timeless mythological saga rooted in universal themes of heroism, destiny, and the struggle between good and evil. His plan for reviving the franchise centers around returning to these foundational elements, which many believe have been diluted in recent years. One of Lucas's primary goals is to reintroduce the storytelling structure that made the original and prequel trilogies so impactful. This means bringing back the epic scope, deep character development, and intricate world building that have been missing from recent entries in the franchise. Lucas is expected to take a hands-on approach to ensure that future projects stay true to the core themes of hope, redemption, and adventure that have defined Star Wars for generations.
Literally become the incarnate form of insanity, continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. They continue to put out woke crap, they continue to put out terrible stories, pathetic characters, and yet they continue to expect us to eat it up, to completely just consume it without a single question.
Later on, when they were making more movies, they said, there's no women in the movies. I said, who do you think the heroes are in those films? What do you think Princess Leia was? She is the head of the rebellion. She's the one that's taking this young kid who doesn't know anything on this boisterous, I know everything guy who can't do anything and trying to save the rebellion with these clowns. I said, she's the hero of the movie. And it's the same thing with Queen Amidala. Even though she has Jedi on her side, she was still the hero prime mover. And they said, well, that's not women. You know. I said, you can't just put a woman on pants and expect her to be a hero. You know, they can wear dresses, they can wear whatever they want. It's their brains and their ability to think and do and plan.
I had made a decision to move ahead on the next Star Wars series, and we were starting to do that.
So you were starting to make the next Star Wars?
Yeah.
You as director, filmmaker.
So, and we were working with a writer. It wasn't quite working out, but I was also, I was also stepping away a little bit and turning things over to Kathy Kennedy. And so, what happened was Disney said, or Bob Iger said, gee, if you really want to sell your company, if you're thinking about selling it, because we were talking about retirement and what are you going to do after all this kind of stuff. And he said, well, if you really want to sell it, we're very interested. So that started that ball rolling. And I knew from, and I had the story treatments or, outlines. And we were we were working on scripts. And so I sold it. But I knew when I sold it, I said, I've tried to make movies where I step away to sort of Empire and Return of the Jedi. And after about a couple of weeks, I knew I couldn't do that. I had to stand over the shoulder of the director, help him, whisper in his ear constantly, no, do this, do that, and be.
Revealing in his memoir that Lucas felt betrayed when Disney discarded his original story treatments for the sequel trilogy. This growing disconnect between Lucas's vision and Disney's approach has been a major point of contention among fans, many of whom believe that the franchise has lost its narrative depth and creative ambition. There is growing speculation that Lucas will seek to reunite with key creatives from the original trilogy, including screenwriters, designers, and even cast members who helped shape the Star Wars universe. By doing so, he hopes to rebuild trust with fans and recapture the magic that made the franchise a cultural phenomenon. To restore faith in the series, Lucas intends to focus on character-driven narratives that explore the richness of the galaxy far, far away, without feeling forced or contrived. Fans are eager to see a return to stories that feel organically connected to the saga's larger themes, rather than standalone pieces that feel disconnected from the overarching narrative. The contrast between Lucas's original vision and Disney's approach to Star Wars is stark. Under Lucas, the franchise was driven by a singular creative vision that aimed to push the boundaries of storytelling and technology. His films introduced groundbreaking visual effects, deep lore, and timeless characters that resonated across generations. When Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012, the franchise shifted to a more corporate-driven approach, prioritizing rapid content production to maximize profits. While The Force Awakens was a commercial success, it became clear that Disney's sequels relied heavily on nostalgia and spectacle rather than expanding the lore in meaningful ways. With Lucas now back at the helm, fans hope this signals a return to the ambitious storytelling that defined Star Wars in its prime. Whether he can fully steer the franchise back to its roots remains to be seen, but his return has already reignited excitement and anticipation for the future of the saga. Bob Iger himself admitted that Lucas felt betrayed when the studio discarded his original sequel trilogy outlines. Key missteps under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership included an over-reliance on rehashing old ideas, a lack of cohesive storytelling, and an insistence on injecting modern political themes that often felt out of place within the Star Wars universe. The result was a fragmented fan base, dwindling enthusiasm, and declining financial returns. Many longtime fans believe that Star Wars lost its identity during this period, as the franchise shifted away from its mythological roots and instead prioritized corporate-driven content design to appeal to mass audiences. While some projects, such as The Mandalorian, managed to capture elements of the original trilogy's spirit, others, like The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, proved divisive, further deepening the rift between Lucasfilm and its audience. The lack of a clear creative direction led to inconsistent world-building and character arcs that felt disconnected from Lucas's original vision. With Lucas returning, many are hopeful that he will restore the franchise's sense of purpose and continuity. His deep understanding of Star Wars as a modern myth, combined with his commitment to storytelling innovation, suggests that future projects will once again embrace the adventure, heroism, and philosophical depth that made the saga so beloved. However, whether Lucas can fully mend the franchise and unify the fan base remains an open question, one that will be answered in the years to come as his influence reshapes the galaxy far.
The acting is bad. Even the special effects have gotten worse over time somehow. Star Wars has been bad for longer than I've been alive. And now it's hopelessly woke on top of it. The whole franchise is owned by feminists and left-wing activists, people who hate the audience and hate the material that they've been entrusted with. There is no conceivable incentive for anyone to watch any Star Wars content again. Like, I'm not even asking you to boycott Star. I'm not saying boycott. I'm just saying, why? Just don't. There's nothing enjoyable about this. Stop doing it. Every new Star Wars show should have an audience of 0. Every new Star Wars film should make $0 at the box office. Have some self-respect.
Aims to reverse these trends by focusing on creative integrity rather than corporate mandates. He understands that Star Wars is more than just a franchise. It's a cultural touchstone that deserves respect and careful stewardship. With Lucas back in control, all eyes are on the future of Lucasfilm and the direction it will take. Reports suggest that Lucas is actively reviewing all current and upcoming projects to ensure they align with his vision. Projects like The Acolyte are being reassessed, with possible reshoots and revisions on the table to bring them more in line with the core Star Wars themes. There is speculation that Lucas will greenlight a new trilogy that will serve as a fresh start for the franchise. Early rumors suggest that Pedro Pascal may take a leading role in this new era, with Lucas teasing fans by saying, "This is the way." This new trilogy is expected to move away from the divisive elements of the sequel trilogy and instead focus on expanding the universe in ways that honor its rich history. Lucas is also expected to revamp Disney Plus series offerings, ensuring that they contribute meaningfully to the overarching Star Wars narrative rather than serving as standalone filler content. Additionally, there may be a restructuring within Lucasfilm, with a renewed emphasis on storytelling and world-building rather than short-term profitability. One of the biggest challenges ahead will be reconnecting with the Star Wars audience. Many fans feel burned by the missteps of recent years and may be hesitant to fully embrace Lucas's return. However, his presence alone has reignited hope that the franchise can once again become the beloved epic it once was. While challenges remain, Lucas's involvement offers a renewed sense of optimism. Whether he can fully restore the franchise to its former glory remains to be seen, but his return is undoubtedly a step in the right direction. Fans who have long felt alienated by the recent direction of Star Wars are now watching closely to see if Lucas can once again bring the magic back to the galaxy far, far away.